Good morning everyone and welcome to Sonic Audio here in sunny Perth. A bit on the cold blustery side today, but still quite acceptable. Okay, so I reviewed the last video I made, which was the teardown and reassembly of the preamplifier here in order to minimise path lengths and hopefully improve on noise levels. And I realised when I got to the end of that particular video that I hadn't shot the final video, which is to show you what it looks like inside now, and describe well, at least one further plan that I have to perhaps reduce noise even further. So without further ado, we'll take the top off this item and you can have a look, see what's inside. Extremely useful tool, these little electronic screwdrivers, save a lot of time. So one of the things what I actually must get round to doing is doing a video of the basic tools that I would recommend that you use in order to assemble the kits. If you use the wrong tools, the work ends up being sloppy or in fact can cause faults. Using the right tools will certainly save you money in the long run. Okay, that's done. Now let's just find a little container to put all the screws in so that we don't have to end up having to hunt for them for ages when I go to put it all back together again. Okay, here we go with the big unveil. Well, there we are. As you can see, to me it looks much neater inside. The cables are properly routed. Let me see if I can just turn this round here and give you a better view. The cables are all nicely routed. I did end up having to extend one of the cables, the control cables, but that didn't seem to affect performance. Sometimes if you do lengthen these, either control or LCD display cables, you'll find that the items won't necessarily work as well as they did afterwards. But here there doesn't seem to be any problems with that. I also, I don't know if you can see it, but the red stripe you see right here at the front is a layer of insulating tape. The power, AC power for the display and control boards goes in here, and it's probably very difficult to see, but it's the cables go sort of slide into the horizontally placed socket, and there's a chance that over time the cable could actually short out against the metal base, so I thought I'd preempt any problems by doing that. So as I said, I'll turn it around again so you can get a different view. Here you can see the panel all mounted over the RCA sockets. In the end, of course, I didn't end up being able to shorten any of the cables, so I left them the length that they were. And that's a good thing, because if I'm doing any further work on the preamplifier and I take the back panel off and I need to access the RCA sockets, then having cables of with a little bit of length in them means that it's easier to do because you're not trying to squeeze a screwdriver, pliers or a soldering iron into a fairly small and tight area. So that's how it looks now. I think we'll all agree it looks better. Now, as to whether it actually sounds better, that's one of those difficult things to tell, simply because the time between initially installing it in the system and doing all the work on it and then reinstalling it was quite lengthy, and it was really quite difficult to assess whether it had made any difference to the musical performance. What I can say, and it was slightly disappointing actually, was that while in one of the initial videos I simply separated the signal cable, running along here, this black cable, I simply separated that from the power cables, and that eliminated all the hum. Having organised this particular layout, I was a bit disappointed to find that when I turned the volume up, there was now a new noise there, a little bit of hiss, but with a tiny little bit of hum in the background. Now, it's possible that when I did the later test, I had the volume turned up much higher than when I did the original test. But what I did consider was that it was possible that something within the volume control and switching matrix was causing interference with the incoming signal. However, I went back and detached this board, supported it above the actual preamp board. The noise didn't disappear, so I'm left to assume that that noise was always there. Now, as I said earlier, it's difficult to discern whether I did make any improvement. I certainly like the way it looks better, which is of course completely irrelevant. However, on listening to it, my fondness for this preamp has increased even more. Now, whether that's due to run-in of some of the components like electrolytic capacitors on the board and in the power supply, I don't really know, but my impression is that the sound quality the actual sound quality rather than noise levels has improved. I did mention that I might be doing some further bits and pieces, one of which will be to get a completely separate small transformer to drive the display and control boards. This is just passing AC to this board, whereas of course these pass DC onto the preamp board. But if I'm just remove and cap this AC line and put a completely separate transformer in there, that should improve noise performance according to what I understand. The cost of doing that, I think, is going to be around about $30 for a nice encapsulated transformer. And I think, again, that's worthwhile. If it makes no gains, it doesn't matter. If it does, then great. So that's basically that for just now. One of the problems, of course, with doing an audio or hi-fi channel on YouTube is that we can't play any longer than about 7 seconds worth of music, which makes it quite difficult to demonstrate the musical ability of a product. However, of course, then we have to look at things like the microphone that's been used. I'm just using the built-in microphone on my camera. And even if I was using a good quality microphone, then the compression algorithms and so on and so forth that YouTube uses probably end up with a sort of very poor sound quality anyway. So that's basically that for this preamp just now. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those. And as the saying goes, if you enjoyed the video, please like and click subscribe, and also make sure to turn your notifications on so that you find out when I've uploaded a new video. Thanks guys, bye.